come together to represent their countries on the world's grandest stage. Football at the Olympics operates under unique rules that set it apart from competitions like the FIFA World Cup or UEFA European Championship. One of the most notable rules is the restriction on senior players, with teams being limited to fielding under -23 players, along with just 3 overage players. This is a peculiar setup, especially when you compare it to other sports. Take basketball, for example, where superstars like LeBron James, Stephen Curry, Kevin Durant, and Giannis Antetokounmpo are regular participants, regardless of their age or status. In basketball, the Olympics are seen as a prestigious tournament where the best come to compete, and winning a gold medal is a significant achievement. But in men's football, it's a different story. The biggest names are often absent, and the tournament doesn't carry the same weight as other international competitions. Even more interesting is that this age limit applies only to the men's tournament. In women's football, there are no age restrictions, allowing any player, regardless of their age, to participate. This begs the question, why is men's football treated differently at the Olympics? Why are senior players effectively banned from what is supposed to be one of the biggest sporting events in the world? Today, we're going to dive deep into the real reasons behind this rule, exploring the factors that led to the introduction of the age limit and the motivations behind it. Spoiler alert, it's a mix of scheduling concerns and FIFA's desire to protect its own interests. To prevent such situations and to protect the well-being of players, the decision was made to limit the participation of senior players in the Olympics. By doing so, younger players are given the opportunity to showcase their talents on a global stage, while the senior players get the much-needed rest they deserve. The Olympics become a platform for emerging stars to shine, rather than adding another burden to the already heavy workload of established professionals. While the age limit is a way to manage player workload, it's not an absolute restriction. Recognizing the importance of having some star power at the Olympics, FIFA introduced the overage rule, allowing each squad to include 3 players over the age of 23. This compromise has given us the chance to see some elite players in action at the Olympics, even if the number is limited. Over the years, this rule has allowed us to witness memorable performances from some of football's biggest names. In 2016, Neymar led Brazil to their first ever Olympic gold medal in football, scoring the decisive penalty in the final. In 2004, Andrea Pirlo was part of the Italian squad, while in 2008, Ronaldinho represented Brazil. In 2012, Uruguay's squad featured Luis Suarez, and more recently, in 2024, we've seen players like Achraf Hakimi and Alexander Lacazette take the field as overage players. The overage rule strikes a balance between maintaining the integrity of the age limit and ensuring that the tournament remains competitive and entertaining. It allows younger players to take center stage, while also providing an opportunity for a few seasoned pros to make their mark. This mix of youth and experience creates a unique dynamic that sets Olympic football apart from other international competitions. While scheduling concerns and player welfare are valid reasons for the age limit, they're not the whole story. To understand the real motivation behind this rule, we need to look at the history of the Olympics and FIFA's role in shaping football as we know it today. Football has been a part of the Olympic Games since the early 1900s, long before the FIFA World Cup was even conceived. However, back then, the Olympics had a strict rule that only amateur athletes could compete. This meant that the football tournaments at the Olympics were not a showcase of the best players in the world, but rather a competition among amateurs. Football, they believed that the Olympics were not showing football at its best, so they decided to create their own tournament where countries could field their strongest teams. This led to the birth of the FIFA World Cup in 1930, a tournament that allowed professional players to compete and quickly became the pinnacle of international football. In 1932, football was removed from the Olympics altogether, as FIFA wanted to promote the World Cup as the premier football tournament. The competition between FIFA and the Olympic Games had begun, with FIFA determined to ensure that their new tournament would become the ultimate prize in football. However, ahead of the 1936 Olympics in Berlin, the German organizers insisted on bringing football back, recognizing its popularity and the revenue it could generate. FIFA reluctantly agreed, but they were careful to continue promoting the World Cup as the true test of international football, while the Olympics remained a secondary tournament, still restricted to amateur players. This situation persisted until 1984, when the Olympics finally allowed professional athletes to compete. But FIFA, wary of the potential competition to the World Cup, refused to let professional footballers participate. They feared that if the best players were allowed to compete in both tournaments, the World Cup might lose its status as the ultimate footballing event. A compromise was eventually reached, allowing countries from outside Europe and South America to send their strongest teams to the Olympics, while European and South American teams could only field players who had never played in a World Cup. This was FIFA's way of protecting the World Cup's prestige, ensuring that the best players would save their talents for FIFA's tournament. In 1988, the rules were slightly modified to allow players from Europe and South America who had not played a full World Cup game to participate in the Olympics, but by 1992, with teams from Africa, Asia, and other regions becoming increasingly competitive at the World Cup, FIFA introduced the under-23 rule, with 3 overage players allowed. This new rule ensured that the Olympics would never directly. FIFA's strategy has undoubtedly worked. Today, the World Cup is universally recognized as the pinnacle of football, the tournament that every player dreams of winning. The Olympics, while still prestigious, is not seen as a major footballing event in the same way. Fans and players alike prioritize the World Cup, while the Olympic football tournament is often viewed as a stepping stone for younger players, rather than a destination for the sport's biggest stars. This outcome is exactly what FIFA intended. By limiting the participation of senior players in the Olympics, FIFA has ensured that the World Cup remains the undisputed king of international football. So, did FIFA make the right decision, or were they being selfish and spiteful? It's a question that sparks debate among football fans and experts alike. On one hand, FIFA's actions have preserved the World Cup's status as the most important football tournament in the world. The World Cup is a global phenomenon that brings together the best players, the most passionate fans, and the richest history in the sport. On the other hand, some argue that FIFA's actions have limited the potential of Olympic football. The Olympics are a celebration of the best athletes in the world, and it seems only natural that the best footballers should be part of that. By restricting senior players, FIFA has created a situation where Olympic football is seen as a lesser tournament, one that doesn't attract the same level of interest or prestige. Ultimately, whether FIFA was right or wrong depends on your perspective. If you value the World Cup as the pinnacle of football, then FIFA's actions make sense. They've protected their crown jewel and ensured that it remains the most coveted prize in the sport. But if you believe that the Olympics should feature the best of the best in every sport, then FIFA's decision might seem short-sighted and unfair. Now that you know the reasons behind the age limit in Olympic football, we want to hear from you. Do you think FIFA made the right choice in protecting the World Cup? Or do you think they should have allowed the best players to compete at the Olympics? How do you feel about the current format of the Olympic football tournament? And do you think it should change in the future? Also, with the 2024 Olympics just around the corner, which national team do you think will take home the gold? Will it be a surprise winner, or will one of the traditional powerhouses come out on top? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Olympic football, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to turn on the bell notification so you never miss out on new content. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. Bye.